Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm very, very excited, as normally I will be, to talk to you today. Why? Because every day we bring you industry leaders that will educate you on what's happening in our sector and also tell you what is coming. And I can tell you, you're going to learn a lot because I have a very, very excellent, amazing gentleman. So he's traveled the world, been to many places, and he's working for one of those iconic companies. So I have Mr. Kenneth Engblom. Mr. Kenneth, how are you doing?
Thank you very much, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Excellent. So just for the sake of the conversation that we're going to have, is it okay for me to just refer you at Kenneth, or is that okay?
That's fine. That's fine. Yes.
Excellent. Absolutely. Excellent. So we are here at Renewables in Africa, and I mentioned to you, so I'm very, very delighted because I had the chance to speak to one of your colleagues previously, Wale. So he's country director for Wartsila in Nigeria, and it was a very exciting conversation. And I can see, obviously, we're going to also learn a lot more about you. And I'm particularly interested because when I was looking at your CV, first of all, I think one maybe need to spend 2 hours to probably understand all the experience that you've had, because you've been to so many places. I've said you've been to India, you've certainly been to Finland, so you've been to the US, you've been to Sydney, so you travel the world. Obviously, you work for different companies. So I actually wanted to understand, so who is Kenneth Engblom? Can you tell me in your own words?
Right. Yes. Yeah. No. I've been in the business for quite some time. So if we start from today, then I'm heading the Africa Europe business, energy business in Wartsila. With energy business, then we mean everything from how we market and sell our power plants to how we build them and how we then do the life cycle support to our power plants. And I have the two continents, then Africa and Europe, in my responsibility area. I just joined Wartsila here at end of last year. Before that, I was 4 years with ABB Hitachi, responsible for transformer sales and marketing. But then before that, I was actually with Wartsila before as well, and had different positions in Wartsila over the years, everything from project management, R&D, engineering, and sales. And I was even heading the marketing department there for a few years for energy. So yes, and I've been stationed in India and the US and a shorter period in Australia. So Africa, I have not too much experience with so far, but I look forward to start working more closely with our African customers and colleagues.
Well, I'm sure it's not going to be a challenge for you, right? Because if somebody can go from engineering to marketing, you can certainly go from...
Yeah, I mean, that is a big jump, by the way. Most
Excellent.
people say that. How the hell can you have been in engineering and then in marketing? Because they're the two extremes.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. I think I can partly relate to that because I started my career as an engineer. I'm an automotive engineer, and obviously now running the business, so you have to learn all the facets of business. The market is a big part of it, and clearly, so I can understand the jump that you've had to make, because sometimes people will say that, engineer, we don't know how to do marketing, right? So
right.
Which is not always true.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's true. Let me come back a little bit to your career, and especially the company that you work for. Because you worked for 19 years for Wartsila. And then after that, and like you say, when you were there, you've occupied many functions, right? So you clearly know the house, that's for sure. But then you left for ABB, the Hitachi, and you come back. So I was like, why did you come back? What is making Wartsila so special to the point that you want to come back?
No, it's a really exciting company. I mean, we have so many things going on, and what I really like with Wartsila is the way how we sell total solutions, how we work with governments, ministers to understand their grid and support them all the way. So it's a full scope in Wartsila. I really like that, and also the thing how we can do full EPCs, and also if customers choose, so we can just supply equipment. So we have a broad portfolio of everything from equipment deliveries to full EPC. So I think it's company with a lot of different things to do. So And if you don't like the energy field, you can always work for our marine side, which is also equally interesting. So that's
definitely. And in how many countries would you say you are spanning at the moment? I know you're looking across Europe and Africa, which for me, I think two of the biggest or certainly most interesting continent in the world. But so I was wondering, how wide is the company?
So Wartsila is present in 70 countries around the world, and the total installed base is 70 gigas, and we have power plants in over 100 countries. So
wow.
So but if you then a little bit see on Africa, so in Africa we've been in since 1975, where we built the first power plant in Tanzania. I think it was for Tanzania, some Tanzania radio.
Okay.
And, in 1975, it was built by a team from Finland, and you were communicating with telex.
Okay.
You had like one sentence: we order one piece of power plant, and we said, yes, thank you very much. When do you want to deliver? So it was quite amazing that back in those days you could actually communicate and get things done. And of course, some visits to the site also, but anyway, if you compare today with all the emails and everything, but
social media.
Yeah. So maybe we communicate too much today. I don't know. So anyway, it started in 1975, and then after that, today we have 600 installations.
Mm-hmm.
In 7.4 gigawatt is installed now in Africa with Wartsila power plants. 1/3 of those are then done. We have O&M agreement, meaning that we run the power plant for customers, and in 25 of these countries that we are, the electricity produced from the Wartsila plants corresponds to 1/4 of the electricity production in Africa. So we are quite a big player in Africa, and right now we have 650 people there. Our hubs are in Nairobi, Kenya, and in South Africa, and in Senegal. That are the main hubs where we have most of our people.
Excellent. If you're looking at the picture of power in Africa, so I think probably, if my information is correct, we certainly have more than 230 gigawatts of power that's produced across the continent. That's the full continent. And then, if we look at the make of this power, we still have 3/4 that come from fossil fuel. As you were talking, because yet you're absolutely right, you're a very important player, 1975. So I know I may not be looking so young, but I wasn't born yet. But, but I was actually wondering, 75% of the power is fossil fuel. I was actually wondering, is this the same split with the power solutions that Wartsila is producing in Africa, just out of interest?
Yeah, so in Africa, we used to then, in the earlier days, it was mainly heavy fuel oil plants, as that was the only available fuel in many places. And over the years, we more and more, the engines from going from diesel engines, customers started asking for dual fuel engines, meaning that they can run on heavy fuel but then transfer to gas when gas becomes available. And now more and more gas is available all over Africa, but there's still, of course, areas where the dual fuel capabilities is very valuable. And it's actually 3 fuel, because you can also change from heavy fuel to diesel, and then from diesel to gas, and you can do this all in one run. You don't need to change anything on the engines. The engines are built to do this 3 fuel. So that's been a great asset in a market which is developing quickly, and the fuels are changing. So, but then maybe what is now, of course, happening all over the world, even in Africa, is the decarbonization, and where more and more of the fossil fuel, mainly now coal power plants, are being exchanged for then more lower carbon fuels and renewables. And especially then renewables is really there where we are now, supporting the integration of renewable into Africa.
Excellent. And thank you for actually bringing this up, because that was going to be my next question, because you've been quite vocal, right? And you, Kenneth, but also the company, because you've actually talking about a smart flexibility approach, strategy that the continent can adopt, right, to push renewable energy on a massive scale. And you're also saying that this can save $billions of money along the way. I think I'm excited when I hear that, but I wanted to make sure that I understand exactly what you mean. So would you mind maybe a little bit elaborating on that, please?
Sure. Yes. So that sounds almost too good to be true, but what we have actually done this modeling of the grid systems in Senegal and Nigeria, in Africa, and of course in many other places around the world as well. But those two specific places in Africa where we have modeled the grid in Africa, how it looks today, and what happens if you then put wind and solar into the system. If you only put wind and solar into the system, of course you lower the cost in a way, because there is no fuel cost with these. You have of course an installed cost, but then in the long run you're saving money because you have no fuel cost. But you're also building unreliability to the system, because the sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow. So in order to really benefit from this, you need to have some flexibility there in the background that kicks in during those periods when there is nothing produced from the renewables. So these models shows then that if you replace coal by putting in renewable together with flexible gas, that is the key in order then to lower the fuel cost without losing any reliability of the system.
Excellent. That's very, very interesting. So removing coal, replacing that with renewable, but using flexible gas. That's actually very, very interesting. And when you're talking about flexible gas, do you have a specific approach that can be used for that? And where in the world, for example, this combination has been used and it has been proven successful, that you advocating for the continent?
Right. So we have several plants now, even in Africa, which is being actually developed with this in mind, to bring the flexibility to support the renewable. Because the renewable in Africa is not so much yet, so you don't yet see the problems with the instability of the flex of the sun and the wind. But the more you put into a system, the more you will create this problem, unless you have something. So yes, so we have in US, we have several plants now that are so-called, we call them wind chasers, where they are used actually then to produce power during the peak period where the wind is down. It's also not only renewable, it's also in the evening when people get home from work, they turn on the air conditionings, the television, the cooking, and the sun has been setting. So you have also a peak of load there in the evening, and then so that's a typical time always where the flexible gas engine starts up in the evening when people get home from work, because the sun is down and the wind doesn't necessarily blow, and even if it blows, you would need so much power there during that peak. Australia, we also have a plant doing the same thing, and in Germany we have these plants where they are combined with CHP. So there you have both producing power at the peak periods, and also then bringing hot water for heating. So those examples we have.
Excellent. That's fantastic. So I can see gas plays a major role actually in this strategy. So you must be then quite pleased with the decision from the EU to rebrand gas as a sustainable fuel, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, we were a bit worried there that it was, as you know, the first revision there was not gas a part of it, but then after the second revision, I think people realizing that you need to have something to back up the renewables. So finally now the the final now EU taxonomy and so is there. It's now clearly that renewable and gas together is the way for a low carbon society. It's also mentioned then that the gas, as it is over the years, when these low carbon fuels like hydrogen based basically will then slowly, you start blending in more of the hydrogen into the system whenever it becomes available. We already have our technology capable for doing that, so that you can already with hydrogen you can already blend in, and of course we are working on to increase the blending to a target is 100% hydrogen. There's on the marine side they do ammonia. Basically you put hydrogen together with nitrogen, you create ammonia, which is also, if the hydrogen is created by renewable, it's also CO2 free fuel. You can use methanol. So there's many blends you can do with hydrogen. You can either blend it with gas or other things. So no one knows really what the final solution is. It's of course in the process, but our engines anyway are capable for taking these future fuels into account. So
that's excellent. That's a great news for you. It reminds me that, for example, remember when we had a vaccine for COVID-19, manufacturers, or at least discover the formula, there was always going to be the issue of how are they going to be manufactured at scale just to spread it across the world.
Right.
So in this scenario, yes, you're absolutely right. So there's more and more talks about hydrogen as a future for the industry to decarbonize it. But clearly, obviously, we will need the engines, the equipment, to be able to accommodate this hydrogen combined with some other sources to make it work. And I'm very, very pleased to see that yet again you are ahead of the curve.
Yes.
And you're just waiting for the for the green light for you to just start cracking on. No, that's good. It's good to know. Thank you for that. I know bringing the whole industry, the whole society towards a decarbonized path, right, where we can all work together and make sure that we can limit the increase of the temperature to 1.5 degrees by the end of the century, as we say, requires a massive amount of effort and awareness building. And as a guru of marketing that you are now, as well as engineering, I was wondering, so how do you galvanize efforts at your level to bring the industry together to march towards that cleaner society? So what is the company doing, especially your department? Because I know you must have had some level of influence there.
Right, very good question. Yes. So in Europe we are quite active. We participate in a lot of the EU Commission discussions through this special purpose companies. Then we have organization that combine the interest of the gas turbines and engine portfolios on how we want to see the future developing. So there we do. We also then work directly with countries, with their ministers, energy ministers, and always open then to discuss and share our ideas. As I mentioned earlier, these Plexus models that we can model a country's grid system. Okay. This has been very much appreciated by many governmental ministers, that they get a view from the industry on how we see on future grids. Of course, they always have the final saying, and we understand that there is many other things to think about, like work and I mean, some countries might have they have a lot of people working in the coal industry. So we understand that the speed of this is different depending on the country, but at least we try to present that in how it could look like, and if we have no limitations on those other things. Government may take them. Yeah. No, have the full picture.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's always helpful to at least start visualizing how solution can look like, and that's where we need industry players like yourself to be able to help. So other stakeholders to have an idea what we're talking about. Let me move on. We have two more questions
Yep.
for you. So wanted to talk about COP27 will be in Africa. I have to say you're probably very involved because COP26 was in Europe and COP27 was in Africa. So you're still going to be as involved, right? So,
right, of course, yes. Yeah.
And I wanted to say, so according to you, how should the continent prepare for such a major event? And what would you say your expectations are leading up to this gathering that the world will be having towards the end of the year?
Yeah, no, I think in COP26 there was some progress again, and it's a little bit like I said before, that I think a lot of the politicians and ministers, they know what needs to happen. I think there's the global warming has been more and more accepted now that we need to do something. So the question is, of course, how do we get there in the least painful way? Because I mean, people will have to do changes to our life and how we produce electricity. And as I said earlier, the coal industry, of course, they are a very big workforce, and they need to find ways to do, then convert into something else. And so this, it takes time, these things, even if you know what you need to do. But I think every year it gets more urgent, and of course we hope in COP27 we will have more concrete actions. We need the governments to make the incentives so that it creates an investment climate to invest in flexible gas engines. Because if you only pay for the electricity, or you don't pay for the flexibility, no one will build the flexibility. They will only build solar panels and wind, and then you will have the reliability and the blackouts in the system.
Yeah.
So it's education. The decision makers need to understand how a grid works, and the electricity cannot be stored in the power lines. Electricity has to be consumed when it's generated. One thing, of course, is battery. That's been quite popular now lately. We have also battery energy storage in our portfolio. We sell battery energy storage as well. But the problem is that it's very expensive. It's much more expensive than to produce power with gas. So you can do it for small amounts of kilowatt hours. You can maybe shift the peak an hour or 2 hours. But when you need to generate, for a whole day, or shift the thing from morning to evening, then it's too expensive today. But it's a good fine tuning of the grid to make it more stable. So we have both products in our portfolio, and we are selling both today, and together with the customers, then we make our proposal on how we see these things.
Excellent. I love what you said, that we shouldn't just plan for the generation, but also we should pay for the flexibility. That's such an important point, and people sometimes miss that. So, and that's where we see experience actually at play. So let me ask you the last question, and let's go back in a little bit of a lighter note. And I just wanted to know, so do you have a personal hero? So who is he or she, and why did you choose? Why is that person your hero?
Right. No, I think it's a lot about how you lead organizations, and there is a few. Maybe I don't have a specific one, but I don't know. Brené Brown is one, talking about psychological safety, that you need to build an organization where people dare to speak up and have different opinions and say how they see things. I think that is at least one thing. And the people talking about that. You have Simon Sinek is also one of the advocates for this psychological safety. So I would say that is
excellent. So we have two there. So well, listen, Kenneth, that was a brilliant conversation I had with you. Like I say, you are very much part of an iconic company that are doing fantastic work and clearly educating the industry as to how do we all work and march toward this cleaner world, right? Where we can use more and more renewables and sort of decarbonize completely the society. So it's clearly a pleasure for me, and I'm hoping that maybe at COP27, so I got a pleasure to properly shake your hand, and we can go for a drink, because we would have done a good job. But for the time being, so I thank you for your day, and I wish you a great rest of your week. So thank you for that. Thank you for your time.
I'll let you know when I'm in Africa next time. I will, let's see if I meet you somewhere before COP27.
No, oh, why not? Feel free. I love it. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, Tony.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.